The Nuggets win Game 4, and you see Adam mostly dead, slightly alive. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You like that Princess Bride reference? You like that one?
I didn't catch it, but that if I knew it was a reference,
you don't know the Princess. This is Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for welcoming and thanks for coming.
I know Princess Bride. I don't think I can quote the movie. There's two or three quotes I can get. That wasn't one of them.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thanks for making this your first listen each and every day. We're free and we're available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can join the show, enter in your thoughts and comments, and get lots of conversation from various people that say the same things every week, but lots of also really good, interesting comments as well. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. His name's Adam Mares. You can find his work over at Adam_Mares, and we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets, who are not swept. You can put those brooms away because the Nuggets have held off the Warriors for another day. Nuggets get the win in Game 4 behind an absolutely just banana cakes performance from Nikola Jokic, a banana cakes performance from Bones Hyland, and oh my, a very large shot from one William B. Buckets.
Hell yeah. Love to see it.
All right. So let's start here. I mean, like, what's the big takeaway? Like, what's your big takeaway?
Just how perfect you have to be the best teams like the Warriors. I mean, Denver, it is funny to think about all the things that Denver did great in this game and all of the things that the Warriors left on the table, including, what was it, 4 missed free throws from Steph Curry. Like, I don't know that they can count on that happening again. Those are the stakes. That's how hard it is. But Denver was up to the challenge tonight in a Game 4, which I didn't think they were going to roll over. I worried they would roll over in Game 3. That was the one where I was like, let me see. But when they showed me that they had the fight in them in Game 3, I thought, okay, they'll bring it in Game 4.
Ooh, and that's interesting. That's interesting. Tell me why.
Well, because Games 1 and 2, they just got steamrolled and started fighting. So whenever you start fighting and it feels hopeless, you start to think, well, is this team just want to get the nearest exit? Or are they too frustrated to be able to put forth their best effort? But when they played that well in Game 3, I thought, okay, that's a reminder that this is a team that does play with pride and does care. So, and then, even just talking at practice and asking the guys what they thought about a sweep, like, what does it mean to get just one? And all of them were like, man, we do not want to be swept. Like, we do not want that. So they came out, they fought, they honestly gave everything they had. That was about as well as Denver can play. I think Games 3 and 4 both are about as well as Denver can play, and they put themselves in position to win.
Jokic had himself a game. 37 points on 14 of 21 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Did have 7 turnovers, and was a -2, but ultimately his game was incredible on the offensive end, especially given what he's facing. Yeah. Got the better of Draymond yesterday. Draymond said it. Draymond said after Game 3, he was like, he got me.
Yep.
And he got him again, especially like got him with the okey-doke in the post on the spin move. You said that's your favorite Jokic move?
My favorite post move. Not my favorite Jokic move. It's my favorite post move that anybody can do.
Ooh, that's interesting. Why is that one your favorite?
I don't know why it is. It's just so pretty, and it's unconventional. Like, I don't think I saw this one prior to like 2004. So it's just like when I saw it, it was like a Euro step or something in the post, and I don't know why more guys don't go to it. It's an up and under, but with the reverse. Instead of pivoting through the move, you reverse pivot out of the move, and I just love it. It works so well. It's so hard to guard if you have a fall away. Is that, honestly, let me ask you an honest question. That is probably the worst Draymond has ever gotten beat one-on-one in the post. And he might have gotten beat that bad before, but my point is you can't be beat worse than that. Like he jumped out of the wrong direction on that play. That's how bad of a beat it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. He just absolutely schooled him on those. I'm
And
looking
2
at
games in a row, if you ask big takeaway, this is another important takeaway is I've said this the whole series. I think it's the best defender in the NBA going up against the best offensive player in the NBA. It's
like
such a joy. Like if you get past all the narratives that lead Sports Center and the MVP and this or that, if you get past all of that and just enjoy basketball and enjoy the sort of cat and mouse game that those two have to play against each other on every single possession, if you slow the game down and like go back and rewatch it, just pay attention to what are those two dudes doing. It's a joy to watch. It's very few times do you get players at this level going at each other in a matchup. It's really, really cool.
That's true. That's very true. Oftentimes, like the best defender won't guard the best player because they save it for certain spots or whatever.
Yeah.
Jokic just scored 45 points on Draymond Green in the past 2 games. So there's that.
Yeah, but honest question, I brought it up because it's the question. Has he solved Draymond, or is it just like when you have 2 good players, one of them's going to win the matchup? Both have won the home matchups.
I think he's beaten him. I think the difference is that Draymond's commentary on his podcast was really interesting about how he thought that he contributed to. He was like, he kept praising him. He was like, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He was like, but I got off my feet too much. Like he went for the. But here's the thing: is like he said all that after game 3, and then he went up even more. I thought in game 4, and that's why those threes are huge to me. When he hit that one, the face-up jumper, like this is the whole thing: is you got to get him thinking about it, and once you get him thinking about it, and I just gotta say, like on the game winner, the game clincher is a better way to put it. On the game clincher from Barton, they ran pick and roll. They didn't post Jokic. They got him on the move. I think moving Jokic in space is crucial. I just think that you can get him a few times in the post. You can, like you got him. We just talked about it, right? But I think that getting him to where he's getting hit from all angles and he's having to worry about so much more than just the post moves, I do think helps in battling how good Draymond is.
There's no question about it. And this is the thing about Jokic is he can do everything on the offensive end. And so, yeah, if the post in this series just isn't going to work unless they're going to put out their best shooting lineup, but they won't do that because that lineup will get absolutely murdered. So on the other end of the court, so they have to put these compromised lineups in. And you're right. It's just too hard in today's NBA to post the ball if another team has somebody they don't have to guard. And so Denver is trying to get him at the nail a lot. I mean, they're posting him in the middle of the court a lot, and then they're getting him on the move off of cuts. And he's just been so good at it. Like, I don't want to say that he solved Draymond because I think they've solved the Draymond that we've seen so far. Now Draymond has to make the adjustment, and that's why I don't think there's a solving. But I do think that it is, you talk about it's 2-2. Draymond won the first 2. Jokic won the second 2, like by a wide margin. It wasn't like, he made a couple here or there. It's that he's completely taken it to Draymond in these last 2 games. And now Draymond's turn to your point, say, okay, this is what they're going to do to try to take advantage. Now I have to adjust.
I'll say that for the third segment. I haven't thought about I'll say it for the third segment. Let's take a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about.
Well, can we just say, I just want to do more on the 3-point shot, though, because we've talked about this a lot, and it is the story over the last 2 games. Like, Denver does not win or even be competitive in game 3 if he doesn't knock down those threes. It changes the geometry of the court, and it forces Draymond out. When Draymond says, I'm leaving my feet, it's funny. Actually, in his podcast, what he said was him and Steve Kerr had a little back and forth about that, where Draymond was saying, yeah, well, he hit 2, and Steve Kerr was saying, yes, but he hasn't hit many lately. And it's funny, because I kind of side with Draymond on this argument. And then you go into game 4 where he continued to make them. Like, I think with great players, it's not what did he do over his last 10 games? It's what is he capable of? And so if I'm Draymond and I see Jokic make 2 big threes in game 3, I'm not thinking, yes, but in his last 20 games, he's only 20% or this or that. I'm starting to think, yeah, but he got over the hump. Like now he made some threes and that's going to change things. And what happens in this game? Back-to-back 3-pointers that were absolutely huge in that second quarter. And to me, if I'm Draymond, I look over at Steve Kerr and I'm like, I told you, he's not shooting 20% anymore. He's shooting 40%, and now it's a weapon. So it was an important makes, and I feel good about Jokic the rest of the series, at least, just in terms of like now he's over this little mini hump about his 3-point shot.
That's a great point. That's a really interesting and great point for you to bring in. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about a little guy named Bones.
Yeah.
What's up about Bones and Big Game Tay? Both stepped up big time. We'll do that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, I want to tell you about the Athletic Greens Company. So, if you're trying to get your body right, you've got to take like a total approach to it, and you're going to need something to help you out with all sorts of things. And instead of taking like 18 different supplements, Athletic Greens Company brings you one supplement that helps you on so many levels. It helps you with better gut health, more energy, optimized immune system. You don't have to take a bunch of pills. You don't have to take a bunch of different things. It tastes great. It's got like a light tropical taste. And you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. Their special blend of ingredients supports your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of the things. And you get to take care of it in just one scoop every morning in some water. That's it. It's lifestyle friendly, so paleo, vegan, dairy free, whatever. It's got less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while it still tastes good. It's going to help you sleep better. It supports mental clarity and alertness. It does all of this, and it's a micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take care of yourself. Athletic Greens is a climate neutral certified company, and in 2020, AG purchased carbon credits that support projects projecting old growth in rainforests. For every purchase, they donate to organizations helping to get nutritious food to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the U.S. And in 2020, AG donated over 1.2 million meals to kids. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts. It costs you less than $3 a day to invest in your health, and it's cheaper than that cold brew habit. And you're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take advantage over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets, thanks for making us part of your day and your first listen each and every day. Make your second listen Locked On Now. It's got nightly recaps of all the games from your favorite local hosts. Check it out, Locked On Now, wherever you get podcasts. Adam Mares Bones Hyland is absolutely big enough for the moment. He was just sensational yesterday. I think there was one that I think he missed the first one. I think he missed the first ISO step back 3. And I was like, okay. And then he proceeded to rattle off like 3 more. And it was just absolutely incredible. Like those shots completely changed the tenor of the game. If you actually, as I always do, check in the plus minus. If you look at this game, here's what happened. The starters lost their minutes, the bench won their minutes, and the starters managed to win their minutes in the second half just enough for them to be able to get this win. It's a huge testament to what the entire bench brought, but in particular, Bones Hyland was absolutely sensational, and that's a game that Nuggets fans are going to remember for a long time. This is a 3-1 series, and yet that win felt huge, in part because of what it kind of meant, I think, for Bones long-term with the organization.
Well, Bones played like a classic sixth man last night, which is that those guys are supposed to come in and give you a run. They give you some kind of spark. In that second quarter, you're right. I do think Nuggets fans will remember that one for a very long time. Back-to-back-to-back three-pointers is very memorable, especially when it comes from a rookie, and especially when it comes from a rookie who is just so good at getting the crowd up. And that's exactly what happened. Like those threes woke the crowd up and propelled them for the rest of the night. He was really good. And it wasn't just the three-pointers and the timely ones. I thought he had a good game overall, including in the fourth quarter, taking Klay Thompson in isolation to the basket on what was a really big play where Denver just needed a bucket, needed to keep pace. You know that at the end of the game, it's not really can you get stops on the Warriors, it's can you keep pace with them because they are going to score, and that was a keep pace bucket. So Bones was great. I love to see after the game, Michael Malone even was asked about his trust in him, and he kind of like almost scoffed at it and listed all the things he does. And he goes, so yes, you could say I trust him. And I think that it is to go from where we were in January about can he be trusted, will he play in the playoffs, will he do this or that, to now this point where Michael Malone can almost scoff at the question of whether or not he trusts Bones Hyland. That's a pretty impressive rise for a rookie, especially on a team with a coach who has been slow to trust rookies in the past.
Yeah, what does it say that he trusted RJ last season and he trusted Bones this season? He gave Zeke some run last season. Zeke's had an up and down season, I think, with the injuries.
It's different in the playoffs, though. Like the playoffs are different. And it's not, and like I said, it's not that he trusts Bones. Part of this is out of necessity, but I genuinely, he plays him as if he is like, no, that of course I'm going to play Bones. Like he could have if Bones had a bad first stint, he would get a second stint in a playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. He talked about post game about how there was a turnover, and he actually did say, like, this is the thing with rookies. You have to be able to deal with some of those mistakes. And that's hard as a coach. Like, honestly, I think he's kind of grown on this. I think the idea that he won't play rookies, I think, is a little outdated at this point. Because now, look, again, necessity. I get it. Like, if he had a veteran, like if Smith is on the team, he's coming off the bench. But I still think that Bones brought enough that I do think if you play, especially if you bring the right approach, it's got to be like you can bring that energy, but it's got to be in pursuit of the team, and it's got to be also laced with a real desire to get better. It can't just be like, let's go out there and have fun. It's got to be like, no, I want to get better. Like I want to.
Another thing that he was mentioned after the game is that Bones asks a lot of questions. He said all year he's just asked a lot of questions, and I do think that, I know it sounds silly, but I do think that also helps earn a trust from a coach because it shows that you're thinking about things, not just going out there and playing.
Let's talk about the other starters real quick. We'll talk about Will in a minute. What do you think of AG in this game?
I thought he battled really, really hard, and I love that the game began with him getting in Draymond's face. And I should ask you, do you feel like that Draymond foul, was that a dirty foul, hard foul, just a nothing foul? What was kind of your perspective on it?
Which one?
The very first play of the game where he gets Jokic in the eyeball.
Oh, I was right in front of that. I'll tell you, I didn't think anything of it. I thought I really didn't think anything of it. It just looked like he went for it just looked like he was coming on the weak side because he was coming from the weak side. It was a weak side double, and Jokic moved, and it was unfortunate. Like I felt like Draymond yesterday actually was very much trying not to get like Kerr kind of talked about this, about how they were too eager, about how they were like a little bit after it too much, and they didn't just play, that they wanted to just like close it out, and they forced it. I thought Draymond sensed that and was actually trying to go the other way. That's what was really interesting, was like, I thought that was one of the most in control games I've seen Draymond play, and he fouled out. Like, I really did think that like Draymond was trying very hard because I think he sensed the team's kind of like not over eagerness and was trying to actually pull back. It's unfortunate he got him in the eye, but from my perspective, I didn't see anything on that made me think that it was dirty.
When I watched the play, I agree with you. Like when I watch it, it just looked like, it looked like he was taking a swipe at the ball, and it was one of those, like, if I foul, that's okay type of swipes. Like it's early, kind of send a message. I think he got him twice in the face, though, once with the right hand, once with the left hand, which is a little weird. And then I saw the photo, and again, a photo can be deceiving because when you watch it, it's so quick. But I saw the photo where it's like he's grabbing the face, which is just a little bit, you think about a hit is kind of an open-handed, and he had like a finger in the nose, finger in the eyeball grab that was like, I'm just trying to picture, maybe it's just how things look when you snap the perfect photo, but I was just looking at that and I was like, man, that looks really painful.
Yeah.
But I love that Aaron Gordon got in his face after. We're like, whether it was a hard foul, not hard foul, whatever. I just love that it was a little bit of a, like, Aaron Gordon has to prove his toughness in the series after games 1 and 2. And in games 3 and 4, I feel like he has done a very good job of being like, hey, I'm here for it. Not just in talk, not just like, if you get in Draymond's face and play number 1, you better have a good game. You better not get owned by Draymond the rest of the way. And he didn't. He played very well.
5 of 11, hit him with 4 assists, 3 stocks for Aaron Gordon. in this one.
And
Jeff
went
Green
up
was
on the
not.
foul and went on Draymond Green's sixth foul, which, by the way, it was back-to-back plays under the basket. One
Yeah.
clean swipe. So it made the second one even more hard. Like, hey, you've got to go up on Draymond here, and you've got to get it. And he drew the foul, and that's, that was big.
I was shocked when they called that foul. Draymond never gets that foul. Like, that's the one that he's really good at, is the swipe underneath when there's a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
Draymond does a really good job of hiding his swipe from the official.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised when he got that call. That was obviously a huge call.
Yeah, huge call.
In that moment. Jeff Green was non-existent in this game, and this is not a series for him. Just isn't a series. Like, just if you told me, and like I've been one of the guys that was like, no, I think Jeff Green can help. If you told me like Jeff Green's to be starting versus the Warriors, I'd be like,
As the starting doesn't matter. It's the closing. Like, it's just the closing. And we should talk about that a lot in the third segment. But I agree with you. It's not a series for Jeff Green. You can get all up in arms over how he played, and he didn't record a stat until the third quarter, which is really wild that you could have zeros all the way through until the second half. But you're right that his weakness is rebounding. The thing they need most from their forwards in the series is rebounding. So
yeah, I agree.
You're just talking about, and then being able to guard on the perimeter, which they're not really attacking Jeff Green. It's not like he's the one being called out or anything, but you got to just be able to crash the boards and keep the guys off. And this isn't the series for him to do that.
I think Will Barton had a bad game and a huge moment.
It's so true. It's so true.
How I would describe it, is like had a really bad game. Didn't like a lot of what he brought. Thought defensively he was the one that was oftentimes, when they got in rotation, it was Will.
Yeah.
That was caught in various situations. I just want to say this. I hate whenever they match Monte Morris up against Klay Thompson. I hate it. Every single time that winds up as the intended matchup, I'm like, what are you doing?
Because he shoots over him?
Yeah. And honestly, like, he just can't. Monte, here's the thing. It'd be one thing if it's like, well, okay, he could shoot over him, but Monte can contain him. Monte can't contain him either. Like, Klay's off the dribble game was a huge part of the reason they were in that game yesterday. It was like Klay was creating by driving, and a lot of it was like that Monte couldn't contain. So I hated that matchup. But let's talk about big game Tay, because 7 of 11 from the field, 5 threes in the third quarter. To absolutely spark that run to get them the lead, for them to hold off the Warriors in the second half. 24 points, 5 assists for big game Tay. What did you see from Morris yesterday?
I mean, yes, making shots. That's the big thing about it. Good. I mean, making shots is huge. It's funny when people talk about, even Michael Malone has commented on this, the idea of like, Michael Porter and Jamal Murray, what do they bring you when, the team needs defense? Like, these things are so connected. Making shots is huge. And in particular, making shots from the point guard position, who is the dance partner there with Jokic, and so much of the action is so huge. And him going 5 of 5 is a reminder. I've said this all year. When Jokic is good almost every single game, like literally 99% of games, Jokic is at least good. When he's good, and then you get Monte playing well, you only need like one other guy. That like those two guys. If you get Monte playing poorly, then it's almost like you need 3 other guys, like, to make up for the Monte part of it. He is such a big piece of the equation, and he hasn't been good in this series. Him finally getting going and knocking down the threes, to me, it was the difference between games 3 and games 4, is you got Monte making the shots, and it just tilted it in Denver's favor as opposed to the other way. So he was huge. It wasn't just the threes, because you almost forget about this. 5 threes in the third quarter. It was a fantastic quarter. He got almost all of his points there, but he also hit what was the go-ahead floater, which was a huge shot. The second to last bucket that was made was him making a pretty tough little floater in the lane. But again, this is why it's so important when we talk about Jokic's dance partner. Final minute of the game, what are they keyed in on? Jokic is scoring and just dominating. He's dominating. They're like, we can't let Jokic get this shot. So we got to get somebody else. And a floater is not a hard shot, but not an easy shot. That's still like, hey, you've got to prove yourself here. And he hits a little 7-foot floater in the clutch with 33 seconds left. That was the second biggest shot of the game.
And he delivered the pocket pass to Jokic on the game clincher to Barton as well.
That's right. And it was a great pass.
Ran the pick and roll as well. Going back to Will for a second, I think there's probably something. It's a one shot. It's a 2-shot sample, but just from the idea of things, I do think that there's probably something to Will ISOs and shoots off the dribble in game 2. Will spots up on a catch and shoot from Jokic in game 3 or in game 4. Like, that to me is like, that's the difference. Is like, Will can have that moment with that shot and can't with the off the dribble.
What's funny is I think one thing Denver can do a little bit better in this series is get Will playing with Jokic in the two-man game a little bit more. But you're right that to do that, you have to trust Will to not like be feeling it. Like you need him to be feeling the game, not feeling himself.
Yeah.
And that's a slippery slope with Will. But you're right. I'm just so glad he got that opportunity and got that moment. It was Jokic after the game said, I actually wanted to shoot it. I felt like I was making everything, which is true. Jokic was like not missing. And I feel like if the defense doesn't hard rotate on Jokic on the short roll, little 8-foot floater, game over. Like he seals the game that way. But they knew that too. And they're like, we're not going to let Jokic win this game from the paint. So they rotate super hard. And he says, like, my mind was shoot, but they just rotated. He called it a pre-rotate, which is basically what it was. And he's like, I just made the right read on it. Gets Will Barton in the corner, and Will gets to have we've talked about this last game. Will wanted a playoff moment. I don't even think Will wanted like a playoff run. He wanted a playoff moment, something to be like that time when the crowd cheered for me, and he got it. I'm glad that he did. Like, whatever you want to say about him or even his need for this moment, I'm just glad that it came in an organic way that sealed a game for the Nuggets in this series.
I'm glad, because if they lost, it just people have been like, why in the hell did Will Barton close that game instead of Bones? You know,
man, yeah, it's true.
So it's a good thing he hit that shot.
Would you, when we were going into the final like 5 minutes, did you want Bones in over Barton?
Yes.
Just you did. You felt better with Bones there.
Yeah, like no question. I was absolutely like I was like, there's no way this happens. I was like, I know Malone enough at this point.
Yeah,
but I was absolutely like, your closing lineup should be Monte Morris, Bones Hyland, Austin Rivers, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. And then you think about that and you're just like, God, this season is insane. This season's just insane that it's like, hey, we need Austin Rivers, the 26 overall rookie point guard who's thin as a broomstick, and Monte Morris at the 1 through 3 spots. Like, that's where we're at. But look, they made it work in the end. Speaking of Austin,
this should be segment 3 though.
You want to go ahead and go to break?
I want to go to break because segment 3 to me is the closing lineup, which we have been talking about. And then also maybe just some broader Austin Rivers thoughts about just where does he rank on importance level of the Nuggets roster right now?
All right, we'll do that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, let me tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar on the market. It's covered in 100% chocolate. They've got these puffs, which are protein-infused marshmallow. Technology is amazing. They've got flavors for the puffs like churro and coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. They're all covered in 100% real chocolate. They're low calorie, high protein. Throw out those candy bars. Just get yourself a Built Bar. In the macros, you got only 130 calories on most of the Built Bars, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. The regular Built Bars, you got these awesome flavors like mint brownie. The new one, white chocolate cookies and cream, is really good. I'm a big fan of white chocolate cookies and cream. My wife hates white chocolate for some reason, despite being like the biggest chocolate fan on the planet. She's a chocolate snob, but I like the white chocolate cookies and cream quite a bit. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste, and you're going to find new flavors all the time. Check out Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets, thanks for making us part of your day and your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms, as is Locked On NBA. On tomorrow morning, you will be able to catch my takes on the Monday night games on Locked On NBA, and on Friday, you'll catch Adam, a great host throughout the week. Make it part of your listening habit, Locked On NBA, wherever you get podcasts. Adam Mares, how important is Austin Rivers to the Denver Nuggets?
Supremely important. It's funny when you go through and think about, Denver has decisions to make this summer about what their backcourt looks like going forward. Austin Rivers is a free agent. I think they have to bring him back. Like they have to. He's proven it in 2 playoff series. What did I say coming into the playoffs? The Nuggets need a guy that you can throw out on the best guards in the NBA and say, hey, that makes an impact. And look, here's what's funny. If you look at the box score, what does Steph Curry have in this game? 33 points. In 37 minutes, 33 points on 10 of 23 shooting, 3 of 11 from the 3-point line. And some of those, by the way, like I said, he should have had 37 points because he missed 4 free throws that he doesn't usually miss. He missed a couple easy ones that he doesn't usually miss. So he should have had 40 points. I don't care. Andre Iguodala won Finals MVP one time, holding LeBron James to 35 points per game.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just, did you make their lives difficult? This was Draymond Green. He won the matchup against Jokic in games 1 and 2. Guess what? He averaged 26 points per game in games 1 and 2. But that's you. As long as you take away the bite off of great players, that's all you can do. And I thought Austin Rivers did. I'm not, without exaggeration, as in the first half, as well of a job as anybody can do on Steph Curry, just making it hard. He stayed with him. He didn't foul. He took away the shots that make him most comfortable and in rhythm. And then Steph Curry made some tough stuff on him in the second half. But to me, if you ask me, I don't think he's the solution, but I think he is one of 2 players that they need at the guard/wing position that can guard. So to me, you've got Aaron Gordon, you've got Austin Rivers. I think you need one guy now that bridges the gap between those 2 guys, somebody that's in between size-wise. But Austin Rivers, to me, can be that guy. So he's extremely important.
Can I get a little literary on you for a second?
Please.
So ancient kind of cultures, whether it's Greek or Norse, there's all these fables and a recurring theme. There's a bunch of recurring themes. I'm a big fan of the idea from Shakespeare, who said that there's only 6 stories and you just tell them differently.
Yeah.
But there's one of those stories is about the person that willingly takes on suffering and is willing to sacrifice for whatever has to occur, whether it's like Sisyphus or,
Right.
Loki's wife wiping the poison from his eyes. Right. To me, like Austin Rivers is that for the Nuggets. Like he knows his pressers are never, he is not Marcus Smart or Patrick Beverly being like, I lock them down. That's what I do because I'm Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers is like, he always comes in. He's just like, it's so tough. It's really hard. These guys are so good. And he just talked about it yesterday. It was funny because there was a question from DMAC about like the chippiness and all of the trash talking from Draymond. And he kind of laughed off. He's like, these guys are friends off the court. He's like, I'm related to Steph somehow. He's like, yeah. And he was just like, look, I have nothing but respect for Draymond and Steph and Clay and Steve and those guys and what they've accomplished. And it's great because like Austin's had some like really intense battles. When Austin joined the team and he had all these like really endearing, sincere quotes, and you were really like, I was really blown away. You were really, and I was like, well, I'm gonna hold off because guys that have reputations, I'm always a little bit skeptical of.
Like, and I
Austin's
think it's fair, by the way, with Austin's like there's a little DeMarcus Cousins in him, not a full DeMarcus, but there's a little of that in there.
Austin's like won me over with how he's talked about, like understanding his role and how tough it is. Yeah. And but I'll also say this, the work that he's done, especially in these third quarters of staying in Steph's shirt, like
it's hard work, man.
It's so much work. It's exhausting because you catch him in the pick and roll, right? You make the rotation, you recover back, you get right up under him to prevent the 3-point shot. They move the ball, and that's where so many dudes lose it. Where it's like, I did it. I stopped Steph in the pick and roll, and that's where Steph moves, and he's gone. And Austin knows it, and you can see him. You can watch him. If you just pay attention to him, he will literally, you'll see him take a breath because he knows Steph is going to burst. And then, boom, Steph's off running against another screen, and Austin has just stayed with him. And look, Steph hits these shots because Steph's amazing. It's not about it's about making them work. Everybody in the NBA says that. It's just about making them work. Like that's how you get things like, hey, he was tired. He missed a couple free throws, right? He was tired. He missed a couple of threes, right? All of this happens. So I was just really impressed with Austin. He needs to close these games. Like Malone has got to get over whatever it is that he's got with Jeff Green, which I don't blame him because it's like Jeff Green has the experience. Jeff is just not made for the matchup. And Jeff's never been like the guy that's like, you absolutely want this dude in a big time moment.
Right.
Like that's not who he is. Well, never who he is.
If they were playing the Clippers, he might come in pretty valuable. Like you need some size. They got some big wings that you just need to have the size to compete with a Covington or a Powell or Marcus Morris or whatever. Like they might have needed that. But when you go up against a team that's going to play Jordan Poole, Steph, and Clay, like you got, first of all, that size all of a sudden becomes a disadvantage when you need to be like to navigate screens and switch and do all this or that. And then you need rebounding, which of course he just didn't provide. But Austin, the Nuggets going to him in the closing lineup, I'm surprised it took as long as it did. That's just the one thing is first of all, I didn't think it was going to be this effective. I talked to Ryan Blackburn a lot about that specific thing. Like, hey, don't you think he should come in over Jeff Green? I thought absolutely 100% that should happen, but don't expect that to be the magic bullet that all of a sudden the death lineup Warriors are solved because Austin Rivers. And I don't think that was the case here. If you actually look at it, the Warriors won the last 5 minutes of this game. They just didn't win it by enough. And that's what you need is like Denver kind of held the door, and a lot of that was Austin Rivers and the impact he made. But at the same time, a little disappointed that it took this long, and a little disappointed that we didn't see it in game 3, because to me, games 3 and 4 really echoed each other in almost every way except for those final 5 minutes and 4 minutes, actually. And,
I agree. I agree. Yoke calling out the lob. We should just mention that. That was awesome. It was just really cool. Like one of those like very smart basketball IQ things.
Did you hear his comment after the game? He says he thinks the Nuggets watch more film than anyone in the league. I thought that was an interesting one, because what have we talked about earlier in this week? The Nuggets not doing practice, like no practice today, or like whatever. And you're like, I'll bet they're practicing. I would bet they're doing film study, which is different than practice. Like, just, hey,
sorry, I should have said that. Like, a lot of times they won't do actual practice, but it's just like they'll do meetings, right? They'll go over like whatever it is. They'll go over game plan, scouting report, and film. So.
And I love that Yoke was keyed into that and just recognized it from that. I mean, I thought that was a really cool moment. I've seen some Warriors fans saying, "Oh, what a bad look that other teams know your inbound plays." You're up 3-0. Like, I don't think if you're okay. Well, yeah, I think you're fine. And if Steve Kerr like goes to a recycled play in the first round up 3-0, probably better actually than drawing up and using one of your bullets for a later series. So if I were a Warriors fan, I wouldn't sweat that too much. But it was cool that that Jokic recognized it, called it out, and that Austin Rivers made an incredible play on the ball to get that.
Yeah, he really did. He really did a good job there. I was ready to bury Cousins after the tech.
What did you make of that tech?
I'm going to be really honest with you. Like, I'm in the minority on this. Here's what I saw, because again, that one happened right in front of me, right? We're on that corner overlooking the tunnel, over the tunnel rather. Here's what I saw. Okay. So like he gets the ball, there's a double, he turns, he fouls, right? He fouls him. And then
Cousins fouled, you mean? Boogie gets fouled.
Yeah. Boogie gets fouled. And then Cousins turns into him.
Yeah.
The way that Cousins so often does.
Yeah.
And like as soon as that happened, Draymond's hands go up because Draymond, I think at that point is just like, I've got to make sure that I don't get tossed here, like immediately, because he's already got the tech.
Yeah, he's already got the tech. Yeah,
he's already got the tech. Like I personally did not see Draymond doing like that. To me, was Cousins trying to get Draymond.
I agree. There's no question it was, but was it a tech? Did he do tech-worthy things?
I don't know what he said.
Well, I don't think he said anything. I think he just like walked through Draymond, which again, to me, this is like going to jail for a parking ticket. This is one of those ones where it's like, we're in the playoffs. Of course there's bad blood. Of course these guys are going to be saying a little thing extra after here or there. Is that the worst offense that has happened in, like, if you think of everything that these two teams have done to each other, just in terms of talking trash on the court or going at each other, this or that, that's probably the weakest thing that has happened that got a technical.
I don't care. I'm going to go back to it. We've done this enough. They're going to call the tech on you. You know it. You've gotten the tech in half your games.
Yeah.
You know it.
I'm with you on every other one that has happened this season. I'm with you. On this one, I'm just like, it's the playoffs. These guys are going at each other. There's this or that. Like, to me, I look at that one and I'm like, that was not over the line to me.
I'm glad Boogie did it. If it's Marcus Morris, the same thing happens for the same reason.
Maybe. I mean, you're right. Maybe it was a reputation thing, but to me,
it was absolutely a reputation thing because he has a reputation.
Yeah, but he's also Draymond Green, who like boogie on boogie crime here. But I don't know. It was a bummer, and I'm with you. I've been on DeMarcus Cousins' case all year for same point you're making right now. Minor infractions that be for reputation could get you a little harsher sentence. But this was one where I was like, man, even with that accounted for, I still felt like that came up.
Well, see, my read on it was very much that I felt. I mean, like Zarba, because Harrison always talks about how Zarba is like the one good official in the league. Yeah. To me, like that crew was very much like, we're not doing this, guys. We're not doing this. We're not going to have it. This game be this way.
Yeah.
And like I thought they got the game back under control. We always tell.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We always complain about the officiating, the officials losing control of the game. This was a case where I really do think that in that first quarter, they were like, not today, guys. Nope. Already had Jokic get hit in the eye. We're not doing this. we're not doing this.
It could be. And to your point, this game was chippy and intense, but not dirty. And maybe if that one slides, it goes up a level on the other side of the court the next play, and it just keeps going up, and you lose. It spins out of control. So maybe I'm not mad at DeMarcus Cousins on that one like I have been for so many other ones this year.
Fernando has, how come Draymond isn't picking up more text when he's out there yelling just the same? I'll say two things on this. One, because Draymond Green is a 3-time NBA champion and 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and one of the most respected players in the league. And two, I'll tell you, going back to his rookie season, he's gotten away with this. I don't know what it is.
I know. I don't either.
But he has a magic power. Like he used to do stuff in his rookie season where I was like, God, he gets a lot of respect from the officials. Like I would be live blogging at CBS. It'd be like, I have no idea how Draymond did not get another tech here.
Yeah,
it's just he is a must be very charming.
He is though, man. Can I tell you something, Draymond? Very charming. I'm so charmed by him. Like listening to his podcast is the highlight of like the non-game days here. It's just hearing him talk about it, and he really is charismatic in a very interesting way.
The Nuggets, you could feel a palpable sense of relief off of not getting swept. You could feel it yesterday after the game.
Yeah.
They're proud of what they accomplished. And I think it's hard for people because it's like you're down 3-1 and I think they know what they're up against and how hard it is and how much pressure it is. And tomorrow we can talk about, I wanted this one to be positive, right? And just to celebrate like a good playoff win. Their first playoff win in 7 tries, right? Or 8 tries. They got to win, and that's good. We can talk tomorrow about the uphill climb that they're facing, and we can talk tomorrow about all the reasons why, like, and also like we should probably talk about like, hey, so really good performance and really good job. And boy, the Warriors had a lead with under a minute to go despite everything. Like,
hey, but it doesn't matter. To me, that doesn't matter. Like if you go back and think about 2015, LeBron loses Kyrie Irving, loses Kevin Love, goes to the finals. That was a 4-2 series. Like, and that you're talking about LeBron at his absolute apex at that moment against the Warriors team that was pre-KD, pre all of this. LeBron again goes up against them in 2017 and 2018, gets 1 total win and 2 finals tries, goes 1-8 against the KD version of this team, so a little bit better. But my point is, people, I think, are underestimating the degree to which one player being outgunned. If you go through the top 6-7 players in the series and 6 of them are on one side of the floor, like getting 1 is pretty big to me. Denver played near perfect basketball by their standard, and the Warriors did not play well, and they barely eked by. The one thing I'll say that is important to me, LeBron got better in those finals. I think Jokic is getting better in the series. Like him going at Draymond when it's like, I don't have a security blanket. I don't have Jamal Murray. Now you take a stab at Klay Thompson or whatever, or Michael Porter, just get hot for me. Like Jokic has to dominate Draymond Green. And for the last 2 games he has, and I'm so curious to see if he can do it in game 5. Like it's part of me is, yes, you wanted the 1 win. Whether Denver wins or loses game 5, part of me just wants to see who wins the battle now in game 5 between Draymond and Jokic. Can Jokic come out and have another 30-plus point game on efficiency where he's like kind of solved Draymond? To me, it would be a big deal if he did, because then I would go into next season being like, even you already went against Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, and dominated him down the stretch of that series. If you can do the same where as the series goes on, it becomes more and more clear that it's just a solved equation, like that would mean a lot to me in terms of like, wow, next year, who has Jokic's number? Who does Jokic not have solved at this point? Right now, I'm like 50-50 on the Draymond one. Is he solved or not? I can't wait to find out game 5.
That'll be interesting. Look, and I'll say this. I looked at the numbers yesterday, and I'll just tell you, game up 3-1, home teams, the win rate's about 82%. That's the win rate for home teams up 3-1 is 82%.
It's going to be. I think the odds will be even higher. I mean, what do you think the line? Is it already out? What do you think the line will be for?
It's 7, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors' likeliest outcome here is a pretty comfortable win. They're going home. They have confidence, but it is the fun one here where if you make the Warriors fly back to Denver, it's just such a you already got the 1 win, but what a fun win it would be to force that team to get back on a plane. Oh, it would be so fun.
By the way, sorry, it's 8.5 is what it is. It's 8.5, but same difference. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, look, it's all fun in games until you lose game 5, and then it's like, you gotta go back to Denver, and it's 3-2, and they've won 2 straight.
Oh, and you're annoyed, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden you're one bad
yeah.
half
Like,
away from Draymond
again,
screaming at, so and so or whatever it is.
we both thought this would be a quick series.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
for
think
sure.
we've changed our minds on that. We understand
Not
the
at all.
situation, but it is what is I think is awesome about the playoffs. I feel like there's more pressure on Golden State to win Game 5 than there was on Golden State to win Game 3, which is
Yeah.
like
Well, I'll just if we want to set the table, maybe we can save this for tomorrow, but I'll just plant the seed here. Warriors are known for blowing the 3-1 lead. If you just
Yep.
get this back to 3-2 and they have to come back to Denver, at least it's going to relieve Sports Center about, oh my gosh, what happens if Denver wins Game 6 and this or that.
Yeah,
And on top of that, like Denver just doesn't have that much pressure right now. I mean,
they're
I
playing
do
loose.
think they played a lot more loose in games
Yep.
3 and 4, but especially 4. And maybe you just get to carry that in, and that all tilts. And then the last thing I'll say is, I don't know if you caught the play that went viral with Jordan Poole not passing to a wide open Klay Thompson. Those are the types of cracks that are just like, Jordan Poole has been great, but the one thing about him is he's a little bit more of a gunner than either Steph or Klay with regards to, does he sometimes miss the right play because he's feeling himself? Like Steph, he guns, but he usually knows exactly when to gun and when not to. There was that one play, and I'm just like, hey, if you win in the Bay to force a Game 6, those little things go from a like, throw your hands up because you didn't pass to me, to a screaming at him at the timeout, being like, hey, what the hell, man? So again, no pressure on Denver. I think they probably comfortably lose game 5, but at least it's a fun one knowing that if you win it, you put an enormous amount of pressure on the Warriors.
A much better way to end the season, no matter what. A much better way to end the
Yeah.
season. That's going to do it for Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You can check out YouTube if you want to see the show, this video version of the show, and to catch us live for our next show, which will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain. You can check out the show. We'll talk about Game 5 adjustments from both teams, what we expect from both of those teams. We'll take a look around the NBA playoffs and more. We'll do that tomorrow. Thanks for everybody in the comments. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on Locked On Nuggets.